How's it going, everyone? Hope you're having a good day so far, wherever you are. I'm a little bit more excited about this video because there are hopefully some more unique ideas in this video. This video was spawned from a viewer / associate question, which is, what else can you do with your altar ashes? We had discussed how one of the things that I had taken to was anointing myself with various ashes from my altars. I have, depending on how you define altar, anywhere from 2 to 4 major altars where I actually burn incense, and then I have maybe a dozen altars house wide, if you consider a statue on a bookshelf an altar. Sometimes I kind of do. But what can we do with the ashes from these altars? As I mentioned, one of the things that you can do is anoint yourself with them, specifically depending on the altar itself, but also you can mix them together. Now obviously be careful, different ashes will yield different oils and toxins. There's going to be, I guess, a disclaimer in this video as well. A lot of these combinations that I'm going to mention can be toxic or caustic. Some are both, potentially. So do your research. Okay, this is meant to be a short video, so I'm not going to get too into the details of all of this. One moment, I'm going to grab a drink. All right, so after we cover the concept of mixing and matching versus using singular ashes, also comes the concept of deity ashes, or ancestral ashes, or conceptual ashes. Maybe you have an incense for love. That's a concept, let's say. Or an incense for courage or something. Or perhaps it's ash from a sigil, or from a sage bundle, or bones that you have burned. Whatever. These ashes can be repurposed. Some other things that can be done are sprinkling them around your house for protection, or concentrating a specific type of energy or force. You can also put them on your door frame. You can turn them into an ink and write incantations and descriptions on the door frames or on your door specifically. You can, on the door or the door frame or window sills or windows, lightly sprinkled, paint, what have you. You can take them with you to graveyards or other special places, and you can sprinkle them as offerings or use them for protective purposes. Keep in mind, when a lot of ashes mix with water, they become caustic, so too much can kill the grass, etc., etc. Other things that can be done. This is a more middle path channel, so there will be some more chaotic and tricky things that I will suggest as options, but I'm not necessarily suggesting that you can or that you should do. But you can, and I have done things like mixing them with different herbs or oils or things like that, and sprinkling them at the entrances to places. Not too much. If somebody slips, like obviously they can get hurt, but then someone will bring a mop and they'll mop up your spell or you're working, however you want to think about it. Doorknobs, entryways, door frames, things like that. You can mix them into inks and paints and things like that. You can take a small amount And obviously the inks and the paints, you can use ritually and ceremonially. You can you can sprinkle some of the ashes in your socks or on the bottom of your feet. Again, be careful, sweat, etc. Not too much. You can do some sort of like medicine pouch thing where you keep it with you, just in a protective sense, or in an action, a proactive sense where you actually utilize these things. You can use them for divination, scrying. Sometimes when I go to anoint myself or go to sprinkle them into a working or something, some will drop and they will make shapes as they fall. I suppose you can intentionally scatter them or whatever, for scrying, divination, things like that. They can be mixed with oils to imbue statues and effigies and things like that. It can be mixed with moon water. Again, watch the caustic aspect, because you will create with the right ratio, you'll make sodium hydroxide, which is lye, which I've talked about multiple times because I found that out, or I was reminded rather, the hard way. You can anoint candles with the ash, which a lot of times you can just roll the candle in the ash. You can carve sigils into the candle and then pack with herbs and oils and ash, etc. You can mix it into clay for like making a tablet, and then doing some sort of like cuneiform type thing. You can mix your blood or ink with them, and you can anoint skulls or bones with sigils or designs or names. If you have a particular script or a twilight tongue or a twilight text, so to speak, you can, especially if it's a specific entity's ash or like ancestral ash. Keep in mind, yes, you can use actual like cremation ashes for this stuff. You can do a sort of like binding, more ensouling than like modern binding, which is to like prevent someone from doing something, more binding a spirit to an object to whatever degree you have the capacity to do that as an individual practitioner. Some of us are more capable than others. You can sprinkle them around, like say if you have a crystal skull or something, or you can rub them, anoint the skull with oil and put the ashes on that skull, or a thame, or whatever it is. Depending on the type and quantity of ash that you're using, you can mix it into something like wine for ceremony, or bake it into food like bread, etc. You can create ancestral or deific spirit masks, essentially, with the ash. And keep in mind, all of this will be a lot more potent if you make the ash more meaningful. Like if you collect all of the ash for 3 moons, and then you can start using it. A lot of you I know in the first day are going to be like sleeping and stuff. Just joking. You know what I mean. Some people go face first into things. Spirit masks, deific masks, they can be mixed into candles and crumbs, what I call crumbs, which are simulacrum, this is the whole genre of puppets and dolls and things like that. Any kind of effigy that is meant to embody someone or something more personal, I tend to refer to as a simulacrum or a crumb. Mostly because I like the alliteration of candles, crumbs, and containers. And those are three things that I use a lot in my workings. I would say most of my workings, if they are craft oriented, use candles, crumbs, or containers, if not all three. Many times I have sealed a crumb inside a container with a candle, etc., etc. But yeah, you can mix the ashes into these things, especially all three, the candle, the crumb, and the container. They can be 3 different types of incense ash for 3 different intentions, or it can be 3 different deities to really, nail that intention in there. You can mix the ashes with herbs and salts and precious stones and metal powders like iron filings and things like that, or gold powder to place around you, or in a protective circle, or within some type of mojo bag or whatever you want to call it. Or in a circle around you, as I mentioned. You can add them in proportionate or proper ratio into plant soils, or by a tree. Again, be cautious. You don't want to kill the tree unless that's your intention. Perhaps you're sacrificing the 100-year-old tree to a certain deity or something like that. Maybe that's your cup of tea. So if it's a specific spirit that the ashes coming from, incense from, you can mix it up and into a paint or a paste and make a sigil out of it, and then save or burn that. Or you can do one thing that I've been pretty interested in and excited about lately. I just haven't had the time or resources yet. You can make an effigy. You can make a statue. And that is something that I'm going to share a little bit more on now. Looks like I've still got 45 minutes. That should be plenty of time until my next meeting. Yes, so this is what I call the Tabby Talisman, or the Tabby Tablet. Tabby is something that you make when you mix seashells, ash, sand, and water. It makes a type of concrete. And this idea came about, interestingly enough, during a ritual meditation, regular thing that I do. I anoint myself with ashes, but this time I was like, ooh, I wonder if I mix some myrrh tincture that I have. That'll be a good idea. And I put it on my forehead and it started burning. And then I realized, oh, I've made some type of lye paste and it's now on my forehead. And as I'm wiping it off my forehead, I think I finished the incantation and then wiped it off my forehead. I saw it in my mind's eye, because there's a little bit of research that I've done on primitive skills and living and things like that. So I know how to make primitive cement, basically. Perhaps I'll even link a few videos in the comment or in the description of the video, so you can come up with your own recipe, because there are a lot of recipes for doing things like this. There is the straight wood ash, seashell ash, which is basically lye and lime mixed with water and sometimes sand, and that will make a type of concrete or stone. And then there is what I mentioned, which is tabby, which is just seashell ash, sand, and water, oftentimes in equal ratios, 1 to 1 to 1 to 1. So I'm working on making something that is sort of a mixture between limecrete, or it's not pycrete, between limecrete and tabby. So again, I'm waiting on enough time and enough resources. But essentially, what you're going to do, if you want to experiment with this with me, you take seashells or limestone, usually. Or you can do something like oysters or clams and offer the meat to the deity, or you can like add some blood to the meat and then offer it, whatever. And then for some reason that's really effective, or has been. You then take the shells and you burn them into ash. You're probably going to need like a campfire or a bonfire for this. You shouldn't need a forge. If you have a forge, you can use a forge, but a campfire temperature should do this around 600 or 800 degrees probably. And then you are going to take the incense ash, and it's optional to mix it with wood ash. I recommend using something like pine or acacia, especially if it's for ancestors. Or sorry, oak or acacia. I meant to say that pine is very resinous and soft. Too much of it will make a weak. You'll have a weak end result if you use too much. But oak and acacia, which oak is often sacred to many deities as well as acacia. So, and what you do is you take this ash, you mix it with water, and you form balls. Now you have to be careful because it is caustic. It will burn you. It's so, I believe, alkaline that it actually burns you. Maybe it pulls water from your skin or something like that. Anyway, you mix this into balls and then you let it dry, and then you bake it essentially, but you cook it in the fire. And then after this, when it's still hot, you take the hot ash ball, I believe it's called being staked, and then you mix all of this stuff in. You mix it into the lime powder, because you're going to powder the lime once it's ash. Mix all of that in, the sand, the lime. I recommend also using like volcanic, what do you call it? Like volcano stones? Why didn't that sound right? Volcanic rock. Candle popped. Volcanic rock. Thank you for the help. Thanks for the alley-oop. Mix volcanic rock and bones or teeth as an aggregate to strengthen it. Yeah, all of that in, and you're going to stir it up, and it's going to release steam. I believe it's water vapor, but depending on what you use, I don't know what the chemical reaction is going to be. So you're going to want to take a step back or have a gas mask. And then, yeah, you can also use precious stones or jewelry, depending on what you're mixing, as aggregates. They're not as porous, but I guess more decoration in a sense. And then you can also go as far as to use water from a dark moon or from a full moon. Yeah, so, and keep in mind, this is not all. These are just some ideas. These are mostly things I have done already, and a few things that I still want to do. So, yeah, this is not all. I would love to hear more ideas that you have come up with, or that you've heard, or perhaps ideas that you came up with while listening to this. Yeah, but if you are going to go ahead and do this, and yeah, I will potentially try to link some videos because there are so many different recipes. Oh yeah, also you can use iron and salt as aggregates as well. But anyway, this is not all that you can do, but if you do want to experiment with this, keep in mind that you will probably need a campfire, if not a bonfire, to slake, is it slaking? To slake the components enough to get them to the proper state, so to speak. And then I recommend, if you're going to do something like make an effigy, perhaps get some type of wood and carve out, or some type of clay and fire it, or something, perhaps metal or stone. Make a form to put the cement paste into. And you can also sprinkle the ashes into the mold to keep it from sticking as well. And yeah, and then let it dry, and then pop that baby out. Now this is something like an intro to necromancy in some degree, as well as an intro to devotion isn't the right word. Consistently working with a particular entity and evolving down their particular path. Call it whatever you want. But it's an introduction, because as you do these things and other things that are like this, other things will come to you. Do you know what I mean by other things will come to you? As in other ideas of things, but also other things, other entities and types of creatures will begin to come to you. There's a particular group of entities that started to hang around my circle that I feel have been mentoring me in more of a Black Buddhic sense. So yeah, do these types of things and more ideas will come to you. And also, just like the sanguine sorcery video, depending on the depth and degree of interest, we can go deeper on all of this stuff, the ancestral work, the the necromancy stuff. So let me know what you like, let me know what you think. Feel free to check out the playlist while you're here also, and join the Discord. I'll put that link below. Otherwise, have a good rest of the day, and I'll see you in the next one.